God, I ask that you send your Spirit upon me. Anoint my heart, anoint my lips. Let the words I speak not be mine, but let them be yours. And let the ears that hear today hear what you would have them know for this day on their faith journey. Amen. A few weeks ago, we did a special series on the Lord's Prayer. It was well received, and it lasted for a period of 6 weeks. And Roy was trying to decide if we should pick a theme for part of Pentecost. And he kept saying, challenge. And I would say, what kind of challenge? What are you talking about? Well, he never told me anything. So I guess that was my challenge that I had to figure it out on my own because he wouldn't tell me what he wanted. So for today and the next 3 Sundays, I'm going to be talking about, if Roy preaches, he'll be talking about, I hope, a challenge. And today I challenge us all to stand undeniably with Christ. There's so much going on in our world and in society today. It seems difficult for us to know how to respond with each new issue or political stance that we see each day. The world is not looking for someone to win the latest debate in the culture wars. The world is looking for an alternative to the whole mess. Today we're fighting battles over bathrooms, battles over states making it a felony for a woman to have an abortion and for medical professionals to be sent to prison for it. Not far from here, Oklahoma. It's crazy. Each issue that presents itself is the most important issue of our lives until the next issue. And then we can forget about the bathroom. We can forget about the abortions. We can forget about medical professionals who are going to jail. Because the next one's going to be far more important than that. I don't quite understand that, but that's the way we are as people. We get so drawn into these endless debates with just 2 primary responses. 1, we whine. Or 2, we fight back. Today I want us to consider another option. Rise above it by being undeniable. Look at the centurion from the gospel lesson today. He was losing a dear friend. He knew that Jesus could heal this person. So he sent the elders to Jesus to ask for the intervention that was so needed. When that request came from the elders of the church to Jesus, it fell upon basically deaf ears. There was no proclamation of healing at that moment. Then Jesus sent out friends to ask on his behalf. Again, there was really no great miracle at that moment. Basically, the request falling once again upon deaf ears. Where was the undeniable belief in Jesus Christ from the centurion himself? The request for healing of the slave was not granted when the centurion sent others out to speak to Jesus on his behalf. They were just standing there. They were just sent out to him. Those people were not going to Jesus with an undeniable belief and knowledge of the powers that Jesus had. It was only when the words of the centurion were spoken that he was not worthy to even ask Jesus for a healing. But Jesus was mighty enough to provide that healing. It was the undeniable spirit of the centurion that was required. It was not a messenger. It was the one who needed the help themselves. When Jesus heard this, he marveled at the centurion and turned and said to the multitude that followed, I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. Not even in the place you expect to find such great faith had Jesus seen it, until he looked at the heart and the soul of that centurion who had an undeniable understanding of who Christ was and what Christ's presence and power was about. It was only then that they returned to the house to find that the slave was well. The debate to save the life of the slave was over. Done. Jesus was undeniable in his actions and his words. Jesus has called us to be undeniable as well in our actions and our words. Stick with Jesus' agenda. Every moment we spend drawn into the agenda of others is a minute we are not spending on Christ's agenda. Is our culture heading in a direction that is bad? No doubt it is, in many, many ways. Do not become just another angry, whining voice in the mess. But don't ignore it either. Rise above it. Stick to the agenda Jesus gave us, instead of being drawn into the endless arguments, debates, and unwinnable wars of words. Be undeniable. You may ask me how. By doing what Jesus told us to do. Those instructions haven't changed at all since Jesus first gave us the instructions. Life is still supposed to be about the Great Commandment and the Great Commission. Love God. Love others. Make disciples. And remember, no matter how bad things seem to get, how much we're tempted to divert from the mandate that Jesus has given us, Jesus commands to people. Jesus gave those same commandments, the same mandates, to the people living in the moral cesspool of Roman corruption and persecution. It worked then. We don't need to recreate it. We need to reclaim it. And it'll work again today. The world is not looking for someone to win the latest debate in the culture wars. The world is looking for an alternative to the whole mess. They're looking for Jesus, even if they don't know it yet. The slave of that centurion didn't know that he was needing the power of Jesus. The centurion's faith knew it. And because the centurion had an undeniable spirit to the love and peace of Jesus Christ, the slave was healed, saved from death. A little more important than a bathroom, kind of, I think. Do not follow the crowds. Follow Jesus. Do not win the debate. Change the conversation. Have you ever noticed when you're having lunch with somebody and they want to get off on their own little tangent and bring you into a debate with them about something? And all of a sudden you can change the conversation. They just have to shut up. It's a glorious, absolute blissful silence. The debate's over. And you move on to something greater. It's a wonderful thing. Be proactive. Be Christ-like. Be undeniable. I don't even know who posted it, but I read a statement from a blog called The Godly Woman, and I loved it. I would rather stand with God and be judged by people than to stand with people and be judged by God. Be unashamedly and undeniably the person that God has created each of us to be. When we do this, we will stand undeniably with God, and God will stand undeniably by our side. Then and only then will the debates be over. Then and only then can we finally use the bathroom that we feel God has called us all to use. When we get above it. And when we tell the world we're not putting up with the mess anymore, we're going to stand undeniably with our Sovereign.